For all of you, our awesome followers who are watching our long podcast, here's a quick preview of what we're going to cover today, and you'll see the timestamps in the description below.
I mean, or of course you want to watch all of it, right?
Of course.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about, share with you what I call the boomerang sale and why you should set yourself up for this in the long term, a boomerang sale. So we're going to cover that today. What else?
And we teach you not to spend your time accidentally.
No.
So that's what this one's about. Can't wait to see you there. And we'll edit it for the shorter version for those of you who are watching that as well.
Yeah. All right. We are recording for the Sellout Show.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
I just have to tell you, it's like 110 in my studio today. So I may be a little moist today.
I'm going to send you a fan via Amazon Prime.
I know. The thing is, I can have the windows open, but then the curtains attack me throughout the entire show. So anyway, so good morning. I'm so excited to be with you today. I think we have some really cool stuff to talk about, but what did you want to talk about today?
Well, I have one topic that came back to me. I want to talk about the boomerang. The boomerang, and It is a sales philosophy. You know, I've read this. Deb Calvert just put something about ennoblement, sales ennoblement, and your sales philosophy. And it got me thinking this morning about what particular sales philosophy I have. It's a little bit dependent on what type of thing you sell, but I like to call it the boomerang effect. So I want to talk about that.
I love it. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear about that. I mean, I have one little snippet that I thought would be a little bit fun to talk about. Gary Vaynerchuk, I saw a video of him, and he was all, you want to be one of the top 1%? He's like, you should be sleeping 6 hours a night, and you've got 18 hours a day. You want to have kids? Mazel tov. Spend 3 hours with them. He's like, what are you doing with your other 5 hours? Because I promise you, you're watching House of Cards, and you don't want to do the work to be the 1%er, but you want to have the lifestyle of the 1%ers. So, and it just reminded me of our concept of, don't spend your time accidentally. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to, bring up Gary Vaynerchuk as always, like, gets the blood going and just kind of talk a little bit about, being intentional with your time and some of the tricks that you use to do that. And, some of the things that I find important about using my time well. So I thought that might be really, really useful, especially for, salespeople always feel like they're crazy busy and they're never going to get it all done. So
yes, I've been talking a lot about that with the sellers that I coach. So yeah, okay. Well, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I will kick us off. I will say, welcome everyone to the Sellout Show, where we are always sold out. I am Dianna Guerin, and I am the irreverent sales girl, where my mission is to bring a dash of dignity to the art of selling.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shawn Sandy. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of the Selling Agency, where we coach humans how to sell to other humans. Because selling like T-Rex will leave you going extinct.
No good. Oh, speaking of which, our photos with Michelangelo. Oh my God. I'm gonna post one here in the video.
Oh no.
I mean, oh my God, we had so much fun. Anyway, those were some pretty good little sequences. So anyway. All right. Well, why don't you kick us off? Let's kick us off. What do you want to talk about this morning?
Well, I've had something happen last week, and this happens quite frequently in my business, and it was sort of a sales philosophy that I have kept all my sales life, and I call it the boomerang effect.
Okay.
And what that is even if you don't get the deal, don't disappear. Don't disappear. So, this varies depending on what you sell. It's great if you're selling consumables, if you're selling a service, not if you're selling shorter term contracts, not maybe, 5-year contracts or, buying an airplane from somebody or whatever. Now, if you're servicing the airplane, that's a whole different story. But so what I would do is if I ever didn't get the business, I didn't win a contract or a bid or something, I wouldn't disappear.
Yeah.
One, of course, you should know at this point, and I think people know this, but maybe they don't always do it. Go in and ask the tough questions about why didn't we get this? What did someone else do better? What could I do better? You want to use every opportunity and every loss as a learning opportunity, right? Then you gain something from it, right? But also, I found that if you don't disappear, what happens is that when the incumbent falls down, you are still there. And they know they should have gone with you. You were still there. They don't have to start the whole process all over again. Even in bid situations. Oh, we have to get 3 bids on stuff. I would still stay close to the buyer.
Yeah.
And it time and time again, the incumbent would fall down, or they really didn't like the way it turned out, or they went with the cheapest option and they got, crap service or whatever. And they still had a relationship with me, and they would call me back up and we would do the deal 3 months, 6 months, 12 months later. So it's not the short game. It is the long game, but we've talked about the sales is the long game. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's so brilliant. I'd never called it the boomerang effect, but it's absolutely right. When you find a prospect or somebody who really would be a great client, like they'd really get a lot of value from you, then it just makes sense for you to, continue that relationship. And I have a great story about that. So when I started in my last role, I was there for about 12 years. And the very first prospect that I put a bid in on, I lost. It was a huge, gigantic pharmaceutical company. And I really wanted this business, but we were really good for them. We were really right for them. But I think the really important thing, Shawn, is oftentimes, and they may not even tell you this, but oftentimes no decision is the decision that people make.
Right.
Like, they don't go with anybody.
Right.
So even if they do go with somebody, I think you're absolutely right. So they decided. So these people actually did decide to go with somebody else, and the incumbent did fall down on the job, and then they went with no decision for a bunch of years. 12 years later, now I think it's only 10 years. 10 years later, I closed that deal, and it was a really big deal. But we'd see each other at conferences, and I'd invite them to all our webinars, and they knew who I was, and they loved buying from me at that. They even mentioned how great it was to have that relationship with me all those years. So yeah, it's, those puppies will come in. Don't chase no's, don't go after stuff that's really a bad gig for you and them too. Right. But yeah, I totally agree.
Well, and that's so, 10 years is a really long time. But I think that, there's a couple of things that'll happen. Either they, a lot of times, like where I've been places for 4 years or 3 years, whatever, they cycled through other vendors and decided that this was not something that they wanted to, they didn't want to go this direction. So they want to try something new, but I still had a relationship. So they cycled through all the cheap and crappy vendors and then came back around. Right. So if you have a premium service or, keep selling the value, keep, staying in touch. So here's what I call the boomerang. Because in my business now, in the selling agency, I can tell you there have been maybe 5 instances where someone, I pitched them and didn't really pitch them. They came to me and, I proposed a solution to their problem, and they either didn't do anything or they actually went and filled this solution with a marketing person. And then the second time around, they went and hired, instead of a consultant, they hired someone to try to do this in-house. And it didn't work. And so I stayed in touch. They still get my blogs and articles. I'd, shoot something to them intentionally, say, hey, share this with your sellers or whatever.
Right.
This last week, again, the guy boomeranged back around, and we're going to do business together now because he still has the same problem. If you have a unique value proposition or a unique solution or unique product, keep in front of someone, because no one else can fill that. If you truly believe it, no one else can fill it. Keep in front of them so that they will boomerang back around and come to you.
I love me some boomerangs. I love it. Well, it's absolutely right. I mean, and it's very few people that are in a short sales cycle anymore. I mean, that 10-year close was our average sales cycle was about a year, right? Because it was a big installation and it was a big culture change kind of thing. So there was something else that you said. Oh, I love my no chip nail. The increasingly misnamed no chip nails. I don't even remember. But the reality is just stick with them. Stick with them. Stick with your people and, send them stuff that's valuable and be in it for the long game. You always say, Shawn, patience and persistence. Absolutely the game. Because, I know I was going to say that book by the Predictable Prospecting book. where they say, 3% of people that are out there that you're going to be contacting are ready to buy now. 97% of them aren't, but it doesn't mean that they won't be at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're already there on the radar screen playing the long game with them, you'll be perfectly positioned to pick up the business when it's time for them to buy. So I love it. I think that's fantastic.
And it also goes back to what Jack Kosakowski said when he was on the show about, set yourself up now. If you're in your 20s or whatever, regardless of how old you are, set yourself up now so that you've got that long feeder pipeline, right? Build the relationships, maintain the relationships, be in people's lives, so that you are not, 10 years in your sales career begging for sales. You set up a long-term pipeline and you will get long-term results.
It's so right. I can't even say more about that. Jim Keenan with Not Taught, you've absolutely got to read that book about creating a presence for yourself and a relationship with your core audience. But, what Jack said was absolutely right. And I looked back at it and I was like, oh my God, now I don't want to jinx anything because you never want to jinx your business. But, I've been blogging for 10 years and I've been interacting with these people for 10 years that have now become my clients. And, Shawn, I get at least 2 people calling me a week saying that they want to do business with me. And I have a capacity issue right now, which, God help me. I found this woman called the Eventual Millionaire, or she runs a company called the Eventual Millionaire. I think you got to check her out. I mean, It's really cool. It's about how do you, if you've got a business that's working, how do you scale it to where it's reliably $1 million business? And I'm like one level below, gonna nail it. So I'm really excited about her stuff. And I don't know, I just found it at the right time. So
we have done a lot of name dropping in 5 minutes.
We're a resource to you.
Exactly. And it's not just name dropping. We know these people. We read these people. I respect these people for the work that they're doing and carving out their particular niche in sales and selling. But I think that that goes also to constantly being able to learn. Learn harder is one of my biggest mantras. Learn harder than your competitors. Learn harder than anyone else on your sales team. And it's not just what's the newest technique. It's all this stuff, most all the stuff, what Keenan's talking about and most of your sales books, it's really about what's in here. You're learning about yourself.
Yeah.
You want to learn about our customers, but you have to understand yourself and how you interact with the world and your emotional intelligence and all that kind of stuff to really be able to go out and build those long-term relationships and, sustain a sales career, I think.
Well, speaking of learning harder, it might be a good time for us to talk about how you can ask questions from us.
Oh, yes.
We had a really fun moment this week where we got a comment. I'm going to share my screen. Let me just see if I can do that here. 1 second. Which one does it want to share? This one. Okay. Okay. Can you see my YouTube screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So this is our show. This was the Lee, who's our surprise guest. You should absolutely treat yourself to a little watch of this video if you haven't seen it already. But what I really loved was this woman jumped on, got it, whatever. Oh, by the way, if you're using YouTube for videos, they have got all sorts of resources for you about content creation and how to do it. So I highly recommend that you're putting your stuff on YouTube. But
yes.
At any rate, here we get this really lovely little comment that says, "You two are fantastic," which I'm so delighted to hear that you think so, Jan. Thank you. And then she goes on to tell me that she's new in sales and she thinks the advice that we gals give are fantastic. And then I asked her, and she hasn't responded yet, so I can't wait to hear what she says, but, what is the challenge that you're facing as a new seller? So, one of the segments that we can do every single episode is mailbag. What question do you have for the sellout show? Because you are our peeps, new sellers, people that are boots on the ground, phone in the hand, knocking it out every day, making a difference for your clients and your family. You are absolutely our peeps. So we want to hear from you, and we want you to subscribe, please. Subscribers get all the advantages of being subscribers. So anyway.
Well, so in any of our shows, comment, and I promise you, we're not that big yet that we will not respond. Yeah, you can say you knew us when, right? But seriously, I would love to get questions from, new sellers or sellers that have a particular problem or whatever, or sellers that have a scenario they want us to try to hash out and do over, the great do over or whatever. And
hey,
then
we'll have you on the show. We'll do the do-over with you. I mean, if you've got the courage to be a salesperson, you've got the courage to go on camera, and we'll make you look like a rock star. So
exactly. So excellent. Well, yeah, I definitely want to hear more from Janet. Was it?
Her name was Jan, and she's really into I think it's a woman, Jan, but I mean, she's really, I went to check out all her playlists, and she's into heavy duty gaming. You know what I mean? Gaming. I was like, wow, okay, awesome. We're getting the hardcore audience is what, we want.
Yeah. Jan, I might suggest you spend more time selling than gaming.
I don't know. Maybe she'll start blogging about gaming and make her millions that way. You never know.
Oh, yeah, exactly. All right. What else did you want to discuss today?
Okay. So I wanted to talk about, I saw a video online shared by our very dear Jack Kosakowski, who happens to be the word of the day, every day. But he shared a video by Gary Vaynerchuk, who is reliable to get your blood boiling.
Right.
You watch him. And he was talking to a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of sellers about, you want to be the top 1%, but you're not doing the work of how to be the top 1%. And he breaks it all down. He says, look, what you need 6 hours of sleep. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on TV, but he says you need 6 hours of sleep. It's like, you want to work out once a day. Okay, great. That's 2 hours. So you've got 6 hours of sleep. You've got 18 other hours. So you're going to work 11. What are you going to do with your other 5 hours? Because you want to be one of the top 1%, but I promise you that you are watching House of Cards. I was like, wow. He's like, you feel entitled to this lifestyle, but you're not willing to do the work of it. So I wanted to just and it kind of touches on what you talked about last week of don't spend your time accidentally. Is that how you said it? Don't spend your time accidentally.
Spend my time accidentally.
Yeah. So how do you work with sellers to really understand how they're spending their time, and how do you help them kind of figure out where they should be putting their eggs in their day basket?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I do is I have them, we talk about scheduling and block and tackle scheduling technique. I seriously break things down into one function time blocks. That's a big, big, big key for me. I work with a lot of sellers, like my recruiters, it's, okay, we can do this and this, and oh my God, a hot job comes in, I need to fill it before, time is of the essence for them.
Right.
But how do they not get so distracted and that time set goes, and then they've forgotten exactly the strategic stuff that they were going to do. So, first of all, we start time blocking, and then I start following up on time blocking, and then we really understand just how much time they're wasting. And the other thing we do is we look at how to turn distractions into discipline.
Yeah.
Wrap discipline around distractions. You've got environmental distractions. I have a friend that, Gina Tremarco, you've met Gina. Every time she gets ready to get on a conference call or a podcast, the landscapers show up. She's like,
of course. Here they are.
So distracted by, not really, she's a pro, but she's, distracted by, can people hear it? And, this sounds unprofessional, whatever, because she has an office and whatever. But, these sellers, my recruiters, they are a totally open floor. And they're all friends together. Like, I'll go running together and have drinks together. Like, they're really, tight knit group of people. But what that does sometimes is, well, you've got a lot of people who interrupt you in conversations and stuff like that. So you've got environmental distractions, and then you have habitual distractions. I get in and go get a cup of coffee and check my email, and then it's 10 o'clock, right? That's a habit. So how can you wrap a discipline around breaking that habit? So it might be, I get in, check my email, and my reward is a cup of coffee. I check Facebook for 5 minutes or whatever. So it's creating different habits. And the last part of that is your personality distractions. If you know that you put off the important stuff to the end, or that you tend to, not like to sit down, just knowing your personality and who you are, how can you wrap some disciplines that help you stay focused around that? And so that you don't accidentally spend your time, or you don't also let other people accidentally spend your time.
Right.
They will.
Right. Oh, I just can't stand those time sucky people. So, okay, give me an example. So you're on the phone with a time sucky person, a Hoover, as I like to call them, Time Hoover, and they're just like wasting your time. How do you get off without pissing them off? Like, what's the real way to do that?
Well, it depends on what I want from that person. No, but seriously, I have clients that I know part of their problem and why they need to hire me is because they cannot organize their thoughts and things. Yeah. So I will figure out how to get off the phone and move to a venue where I can control the situation. So I'll say, okay, you know what? So let me wrap my head around this. I'm going to come up with 3 points to talk about. I want you to come up with 3 points to talk about, and then we'll meet at my office. Getting them out of their office is a big thing for me for when I'm working with business owners or sellers or whatever. So it's, you know what? I need to wrap my head around this. I'm going to come up with this. You have homework, so we stay focused, and then we'll meet at a neutral location so that I can control it. You know, I'll say, okay, we're at my office. I've got an appointment in another 30 minutes or whatever that is. So, you know, that's my game. Or I'll do the same thing and get them off the phone. We'll trade an email with an agenda for a call, and then we'll set it up again. And I'll preface it with, I've got another call in 30 minutes.
Yeah, agendas are so important for any kind of a business meeting. And if I really think if you respect your time, that it will communicate and people will then kind of respect your time. Because, you know, sometimes you can say, hey, look, we could spend a half hour talking about this, but I bet if we, you know, just kind of put our minds to it, we could spend 10 minutes and then, you know, you have an extra 20 minutes to go have a coffee break or something like that, and kind of make it a win for them that you're not spending too much time with them.
No,
it's aren't important because they absolutely are, but how you spend your time really creates how your life looks.
Well, and you also have to train people sometimes. You have to train people. This is how our conversation is going to go. If they cannot, a lot of times, if they can't get in the groove with me after the first couple conversations, this is how we're going to stay on topic, and this is how, I won't be able to coach them. They're not going to be coachable. If I can't get them and train them as to how we progress through a conversation, that's probably one of their biggest points, and it's not going to work for me to coach them because they're not going to change. So that's a big pre-qualifier for me. Are they able to communicate in a way that's still natural for them, but in a way that's able to stay on task, to stay focused and progress the conversation in order to get to results?
That's so brilliant. That's so brilliant. In fact, for people that are in sales, one thing I found is there is a sweet spot point where after that you start losing the sale because they're bored. I actually, when I was first learning how to sell, thank God I had this mentor. I was a financial advisor, and my clients would come in and we'd talk, and these meetings were like dragging on forever because I didn't know how to close it up and move the thing to the next. So he bought me a clock that he put across the desk for me and said, you are not allowed to have meetings over 45 minutes. Do you know what I mean? That's plenty of time. You do this in the first 5, you do this in the next 10, and he's like, keep it on track, move it along. And I don't care where you are at 45 minutes. It's like time to go. And I was like, oh, wow. And it really it had me take leadership of the meeting, had us get focused. It gave my prospect a whole bunch more confidence in my ability to, manage their money.
Right.
And it was brilliant. And it led to are we doing business or not? Are we doing business together or not? And if we were, great. And most of the time, but what I was finding was we were having these super long meetings that led to nothing except a conversation, and then nobody left doing anything with each other. So it's huge. Don't accidentally spend your time.
No. And then I'll have one follow-up to that too, what I figured out, especially with selling with non-sales people. Like my recruiters are example, business owners are example, people that don't necessarily have sales in their title, but they have to do it anyway.
Right.
They do some things intuitively, and a lot of top sellers do things intuitively, whether they've been taught or it's just a natural skill, but it doesn't always bring them the most success if they're not doing things intentionally. So I try to move people from doing things intuitively to understanding why they're doing them, what the outcomes are. So then we can get people to moving to doing things intentionally And that just skyrockets your results, moving from intuitive to intention.
And by intention, you mean that you know what your outcome is and you know what needs to get covered. What do you mean specifically by intentionally?
Well, it might be, moving through a sales, like you're talking about moving through a sales meeting. Many people kind of intuitively know how to do that, but could they take 30 minutes off the process? Probably. Or could they, a phone call, people might know how to, I'm comfortable on the phone. What they do and how they warm people up is intuitive, but can we do it intentionally and shorten that time frame and increase results? So.
Yeah. Somebody told me the other day, was it you? I don't know if it was you. Was it you? Somebody told me, and I have this up on my whiteboard, money loves speed.
Oh, no, but I like that.
I know, right? It's really good. In fact, I don't think this is the right episode to do it, but I've been learning a lot about procrastination, and I had a huge aha moment about procrastination, but money loves speed it's just like, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? do that work. But, I want to address this kind of, now I don't know what Gary's thing is, and Gary is, Gary, and I'm me, but I find it really important to devise the time that I'm going to have completely off. Because, I have learned as a business owner, and I've learned this from CEOs of, mega companies, that they get their best ideas on the ski slope. Or, it's rumored that Thomas Edison used to actually set aside time where he would just go and be doing nothing and just to be able to think and let things process. So I don't want people to be left to the impression that they need to be doing. But when you're intentionally spending that time off, mm-hmm. so that, you're developing your own creativity inside those times, I think that's a really, really important thing to keep in mind. What are some of the things that you do to get your mind off the task at hand, but have breakthroughs in the work that you're doing?
I get me outside, camping, hiking, nature, swimming, rowing, kayaking. I got a kayak for Mother's Day. Yay!
What?
Yeah, a one-person kayak. It's cool.
Oh my God. Where do you have a lake, or what do you have?
No, we'll there's some water near here.
Okay.
So far it's just been test driven in by the children in the pool, which is too cold for me to get in yet. I recharge my batteries by myself outside. I need a girls' night out. That's not me. I need to go pull weeds or go look for snakes or plant, butterflies or whatever, go out in nature and just be inspired by one in nature. So I like to travel a little bit to get away, mostly to the mountains, let's go look under a rock and look for lizards. That's me. I'm a bugs, lizards kind of girl.
Really? You do like spiders and snakes?
I do. Yeah.
When I used to play the cello, and when I would get into studying in school and I would get really jammed up on, a difficult topic, I would go play the cello for 15 or 20 minutes. And I swear to God, there was something about engaging a new part of my brain that thinks differently. And then I'd be able to do the problems. I'd be able to get through. So I just highly encourage people that, and this goes along with what we talk about a lot too, is manage up. So, let your managers know what you really need to be the superstar of the sales team. And sometimes that means, going and looking for a lizard under a rock, or, going and doing some yoga, or, one thing that I love to do when I'm getting stuck and I'm not making any progress in a sale is go work out hard, get all that anger and frustration out in the gym, and then, bring it back to because it feels like you have control over that. When you're losing at sales, you're like, oh, nothing's happening. It's good to do something where you feel like you have some control.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. We play volleyball or tennis and all those things. But, I want to say one last thing maybe about Gary Vaynerchuk is that most of us are not going to be Gary Vaynerchuk. If you aspire to that lifestyle, then you do have to work like Gary Vaynerchuk. If you want a great lifestyle and a happy life and, a marriage and children and a house and stuff like that, work hard in sales and you can get there. But, most of us aren't going to be Gary Vaynerchuk. He's crazy intense, and he has a crazy intense personality. If that's not your personality, you will burn out and die if you try to go at it like that. I'm serious. I'm serious.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that I really love about what we're doing, and I haven't really checked in with you about this, so this may not be something that you agree with, but one of the things that I really love about what I do as the Irreverent Sales Girl is, you know, there are people that are going to go be Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk and the guy on the reality TV show who, you know, sells all the multi-million-dollar gigs in New York. There absolutely will be those people. But what's possible in sales is also just earning a solid 6. And when you think about that, the average salary of a salesperson, you know, the average income of a salesperson, and this is across all industries and across the entire nation, so it adjusts for industries and adjusts for locations, but is something around the world of $62,000, right? Mm-hmm. When you start breaking into $130,000, $150,000, $180,000, $250,000, which is not Gary Vaynerchuk, and it's not a sales manager role, but what it is it's a solid lifestyle that would make a huge difference for people. And that's what I'm out to impact is, you know, give you those solid tools that'll get you into that solid 6, that gives you the ability, like you talk about, to get the in vitro or to get the, you know, the private school paid for, or, you know, those things that really, really matter, to buy your 16-year-old a really good, strong, safe, working car. Those are the things that a solid 6 makes available. And that's what I care about is, you know, giving people the practical advice that I've had work for me. I've seen work for other people. I've coached other people to get there. So anyway, there's my soapbox. Solid 6.
I agree. Solid 6. You know, I don't want to work as hard as Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm going to let Gary Vaynerchuk drive in that lane. I don't want to work that hard, but he does. And there are people who want to do that. I want to, you know, I don't want that quite that intense of a life. And I consider myself an intense person. But if you, like you said, want to get that solid 6, man, that is so possible in a sales career. It is possible to be your own version of awesome, not someone else's version of awesome. You were born to be your own version of awesome.
Be yourself. Everyone else is taken.
Right.
Who's that? Oscar Wilde. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more name dropping.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think we covered it. Was there anything else that you wanted to say, or should we wrap this puppy up?
I think that's a good note to end on. That's what people should be taking home, tucking under their pillow to sleep tonight. Be your own version of awesome. Everybody else.
Be your own version of awesome. And with that, I will say, stop hoping
and start selling.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.